You think you're the author of your life. But what if you've just been reading a script someone else wrote? There's a truth most people never want to face. The people you love have lied to you. But worse, you've lied to yourself far more. That's not judgment. That's biology. That's survival. That's human nature. We don't act out of reason. We act out of pain, out of wounds we forgot we had, out of memories we never processed, out of fears, dressed up as logic. You think you're choosing. But what if your past is choosing for you? You think you understand others. But what if you've only ever seen them through the broken lens of yourself? Robert Greene calls this the machinery of human nature. It doesn't care how smart you are. It doesn't care how spiritual, how moral, how successful you claim to be. It only responds to what you haven't healed. And if you don't understand that machinery, you will give your heart to the wrong person. You will trust the wrong smiles. You will stay in relationships that drain your life force. And worse, you'll call that love. You'll call that loyalty. You'll call that fate. But if you learn to see clearly, to read through the mask, to watch what others can't control, then every room becomes a strategy. Every conflict becomes information. Every betrayal becomes a mirror. This is not a lesson in judgment. It's a lesson in clarity. And clarity isn't comfortable. It's cold. It's sharp. But it will save you. In this journey, we will explore 9 laws of human nature, not to protect you from others, but to protect you from yourself. And we begin with the part of you that has hijacked everything, the part that lies to you the most, your emotions. Master your emotional self. You say you're in control, but watch yourself. After a message gets left unread, when someone interrupts you mid-sentence, when silence lingers longer than your comfort allows, you don't respond from logic. You respond from something older, deeper, more primal, the scared, reactive part of you, the one that's been wounded and never fully healed. That's not a flaw, that's biology. Robert Greene calls it the Law of Irrationality, and it governs far more of your life than you dare admit. We like to imagine we plan our lives, that we make conscious choices, that we're logical, strategic, composed. But in truth, we are ruled by emotion. Rationality is a costume, a mask your limbic system wears to make you believe you're calm when you're not. Let's break this down. Your brain isn't a temple. It's a stacked battlefield. At the bottom, the reptilian brain. Heartbeat, breath, survival. Above that, the limbic system. Emotion, fear, desire, shame. And only at the top, the neocortex. Logic, language, reflection. But here's the trap. When something triggers you, the bottom fires first. Your body responds before your mind catches up. The flood begins. Cortisol, adrenaline, rage, panic. By the time logic arrives, it's not deciding, it's justifying. That's why you regret what you said, why you lash out, why you destroy things you love. And then wonder why. Because emotion acts first. Reason cleans up after well. But the rational person doesn't kill emotion. They don't suppress it. They watch it. Like a storm on the horizon. They prepare. This is your first mission. Observe your storm. Track your emotional weather. Do you get defensive when questioned? Do you withdraw when ignored? Do you explode when misunderstood? These aren't moods. They're programs. Old ones. Written in childhood. Downloaded from trauma. reinforced by silence. You didn't choose them, but you keep running them. The irrational self hides in excuses. I'm just tired. I'm just stressed. No, you're unguarded, and something ancient is steering the wheel. So what do? Step 1. Recognize your biases. They're not flaws. They're filters. The confirmation bias blocks anything that threatens your belief. The group bias craves agreement, even when it betrays truth. The conviction bias says, I feel it strongly, so it must be right. The blame bias protects your ego by outsourcing failure. And the most seductive of all, the superiority bias. It whispers, I'm better than most, and keeps you blind to your own fragility. Once you see these biases, you begin to step out of the fog. You gain perspective. Step 2. Increase your reaction time. When you feel the surge, pause. Don't speak. Don't act. Breathe. Step back. Ask, what's really happening here? That space between trigger and response is where your power lives. It's the difference between war and wisdom. Step 3. Accept your irrationality. You are not broken. You are not weak. You are human, and emotions will always be there. But they are signals, not truths. Companions, not commanders. Picture emotion like ink in water. It spreads fast, but if you don't stir, it clears. And now ask yourself, how many decisions were made, not by your mind, but by your wounded self? How many chances did you sabotage just to protect your pride? How many people did you push away because your ego needed to win? Rationality is not coldness. It is courage. The courage to pause, to observe, to let silence do what shouting never could. Machiavelli once wrote, "It is better to appear virtuous than to be ruled by virtue. Not because virtue is bad, but because uncontrolled virtue becomes your weakness." Control the frame, not to deceive, but to lead yourself. When you master your emotional self, you stop being manipulated by others, by your reactions, by your ghosts. And when you stop reacting, you begin to choose. You begin to design. That is the first law. Miss this, and every other law will collapse. Transform self-love into empathy. We're all narcissists. But not all narcissists are the same. Some are loud. Some are silent. Some seduce. Some disappear. The difference is where you fall on the spectrum. From the empty narcissist who needs validation like oxygen, to the functional narcissist who can lead, listen, and still hold center. But before you study others, look inward. You say you're not self-absorbed. But how do you feel when the spotlight moves away from you? When someone else gets praised for the thing you did? When your post is ignored and theirs goes viral? That sharp impatience, that quiet bitterness, that sting in the chest, it's not random. It's your shadow. From the moment we're born, we seek mirrors. We cry. Someone comes. We smile. Someone responds. That loop becomes survival. And when it breaks, we chase it. Attention becomes oxygen, and oxygen becomes obsession. That's how narcissism forms. Not as arrogance, but as wounded hunger. Some learn to perform kindness, just to stay needed. Some use virtue as camouflage for control. They don't want connection. They want reflection. A mirror that flatters. A room that revolves around them. But here's the part we rarely admit. Most of us live in the middle, We're functional narcissists. We want to be seen. We want to matter. We want to impress. And that's not a crime. It's human. The danger comes when you stop noticing it. Because left unchecked, functional narcissism turns toxic. You start performing, competing, faking empathy to get connection. But here's the shift. If you can recognize it, you can rise above it. Your goal is not to kill self-love. It's to refine it, to rise toward the rarest trait of all, empathy. Not flattery, not I feel you as performance, but grounded, razor-sharp, embodied empathy, where you quiet your own voice to truly hear someone else's, where you stop comparing and start witnessing. And it's not a talent, it's a skill. And like all skills, it can be built. Step 1. Adopt the explorer mindset. Every person is a country. Unknown terrain. Unseen storms. Different history. Treat them with curiosity, not assumptions. Step 2. Train visceral empathy. Watch their hands, their pauses, their breath. The mouth may lie, but the body always leaks truth. Step 3. Practice analytical empathy. Ask yourself, what fear are they hiding? What wound is shaping this behavior? Especially when you dislike them. Because the people you resist the most reveal the parts of you still unhealed. As Lincoln said, I don't like that man. I must get to know him better. That's not sentiment. That's strategy. Step 4. Test your assumptions. Don't just guess. Ask. Reflect back what you see. Let them correct you. Their correction is your education. Over time, you'll begin to see what others miss. The unsaid, the avoided, the ache behind the smile. That's how trust is built. Not through brilliance, but through presence. But don't forget, not all narcissists are safe. Some are not just wounded, they are dangerous. The control narcissist listens only to use your words against you. The theoretical narcissist hides behind ideals, claiming morality while feeding on admiration. They don't seduce. They harvest, and they thrive on your assumptions. So learn this, observe. Don't assume good intent. Don't assume bad either. Assume nothing and measure everything by behavior over time. Now, look at yourself again. Can you let go of the need to be right, to be praised, to be the center? Are you strong enough to step outside yourself and see another person? Clearly, because here's the paradox. The less you try to be admired, the more magnetic you become. The less you seek attention, the more people lean toward you. Why? Because in a world drowning in ego, empathy is power. You want influence. Start here. Start by listening, because the one who sees others can shape them. That is the second law. And if you miss this one, every connection you build will be a house of mirrors. See, through people's masks, everyone wears a mask. Some wear it to survive. Some wear it to deceive. Most wear it without even knowing. You smile in public. You nod politely. You say you're fine. But deep down, you're not. And you're not alone. Because the whole world is a stage full of actors. Polite, polished, pretending. But here's the catch. Under pressure, the mask always cracks. A glance that lingers too long. A smile that never reaches the eyes. A voice that tightens mid-sentence. These are leaks. And if you learn to read them, you'll see what others never will. Machiavelli knew this. He warned, do not trust words. Trust behavior, because people speak with their hands, with their rhythm, with their silence, and the truth is always in the silence. Ask yourself, how many people have you trusted just because they seemed nice? How many betrayed you because you confused the mask for the face? The woman who swore loyalty but disappeared when you stumbled. The colleague who smiled but whispered your name to the wolves. The friend who cheered for you until you started to rise. We think we know people, but what we really know is what they allow us to see. So let's change that. Let's build the skill that turns every room into a scan, every conversation into reconnaissance. Step 1. Sharpen your observation. Start small. Watch micro-expressions, split-second reactions, forced smiles, tension in the shoulders, fidgeting fingers, the half-second delay before they answer, the sigh after they finish. People reveal themselves. In the in-between. Step 2. Establish their baseline. How do they behave when calm? How do they move when no one's watching now? Watch how it shifts. When they're jealous. When threatened. When exposed. The difference. That's their truth. Step 3. Study behavior like a battlefield. Go to a cafe. Watch people without speaking. Notice patterns. Notice déflexion. Notice how often people talk without saying anything real. Because here's the secret. People leak. Even the best actors slip. No matter how practiced, the unconscious always betrays them. You want signs. Here they are. When someone dislikes you, they rarely say it, but their lips tighten, their eyes narrow, their feet point toward the exit, their voice turns flat. Even their praise feels like calculation. Genuine smiles involve the whole face. Eyes, cheeks, energy. Fake smiles, only the mouth moves. Now watch for dominance. The dominant one in a group speaks longer, interrupts more, listens less, maintains eye contact, but only with those they deem equal. And then comes deception. When someone lies, they often overcompensate. They talk too much, use too many details, flood the air with noise. If you suspect, dechate, don't confront. Let them speak. Then ask a direct question. And watch. Their reaction tells you more than any answer. But here's the second half of this law. Not just seeing through others, but managing your own mask. This is not lying. It's strategy. Revealing everything is weakness. Mystery is magnetism. What you don't say is often louder than what you do. Control your body language. Stand with calm. Speak with quiet conviction. Smile only when it serves. Don't be predictable. Create contrast. Disappear, sometimes, then reappear sharper, more defined. Let people wonder, because most people reveal too much. You must become the opposite. Project only the qualities you choose. Discipline, warmth, strength, stillness. Whatever you decide, amplify it. Because people don't see what's true. They see what you reflect. Arthur Schopenhauer once said, "People are like the moon. They show only one side. Your job is to see the hidden side, the motives, the cracks, the quiet betrayals. Don't be fooled by polish or seduced by performance. Look deeper, and then deeper still, because the world runs not on what is true, but on what seems true. Master this law, and you will no longer be deceived by masks. You will wear your own, strategically, and that is power. Determine the strength of people's character. People can fake charm. They can borrow intelligence. They can mimic kindness. But character cannot be faked. Not for long. Not under pressure. Not when the lights go out. We live in a time of performance. Likes, reels, polished brands. But what someone posts and who they are rarely the same. Character is not what you see in the light. It's what emerges in the dark, when no one's watching, when the rewards are gone, when the mask drops and the reflex speaks. Ask yourself, how do you behave when no one can reward you, when you're betrayed, when you're bored, when you lose? That is your character, not your style, not your intentions, but your default under fire. Most people don't think in these terms. They assume character is a trait. It's not. It's a pattern, built from choices, forged in hardship, etched into the way you repeat, react, retreat. Character is destiny, not luck, not IQ, not talent. Destiny. It begins early. In childhood, tiny habits. What you were praised for, what you were punished for, what you had to suppress, just to belong. You breathe it in until it becomes invisible, until you call it just who I am. But it's not. It's installed. And unless examined, it becomes your cage. So how do you read someone's character? Start with pressure. How do they react when it's not going their way? Do they panic, or pause, blame, or reflect, crack, or adapt? Now look at relationships. Can they collaborate? Can they handle critique? Do they grow or shut down? Those with strong character are like oak trees. They bend with the wind, but they don't break, even when the storm lingers. But weak character, it's a reed. Brittle, reactive, always seeking praise, never standing still, never grounded. And the danger is, weak character often comes with charm, with charisma, with sparkle. At first, but over time, it cracks. And when it does, you pay the price. So what do you watch for? Let's talk about the types. 1. The hyper-perfectionist obsessed with control, micromanages everything, confuses obsession with excellence, burns themselves, burns everyone around them, in the name of getting it right. 2. The relentless rebel hates authority, but also hates structure, equates chaos with freedom, calls accountability oppression, fights rules, and ruins progress. 3. The personalizer takes everything to heart. A comment becomes an attack. A neutral glance becomes rejection. You end up walking on eggshells and still become the villain in their story. 4. The drama magnet. Their life is always burning. They don't want peace. They want center stage in a tragedy. Solutions bore them. Chaos is their comfort zone. 5. The big talker dreams out loud, promises the moon. Délivre excuse. They don't want a mission. They want an audience. 6. The sexualizer. Everything becomes a seduction, a test, a game. Connection becomes manipulation. They don't want intimacy, only conquest. C. The pampered prince or princess, raised on praise, entitled to everything, grateful for nothing, and when denied, they rage, because the world owes them. Bar. The moralizer preaches virtue, condemns others, but behind the mask is envy, shame, and contradiction. If you see these signs in someone, don't wait for the breakdown. It's coming. Quiet now, loud later, and if you see them in yourself, don't flinch. Just wake up. Now, what should you do? First, know your own character. Test it. Under pressure, in conflict, in boredom. Do you disappear? Do you blame? Or do you grow? Because the truth is, your character is your ceiling. Your fate isn't out there. It's inside you. Right now. Second, prioritize character over everything. Above talent, above beauty, above charisma. Because when the storm comes, and it will, only character decides who breaks and who stands. Don't trust what people say. Trust what they do over time, under pressure when no one is clapping. That's how you read people. That's how you protect your future. That is the fourth law. Become an elusive object of desire. Desire is not logical. It's emotional, instinctive, irrational. We don't want what makes sense. We want what feels just out of reach. And the tragedy is this: most people destroy their own desirability by being too available, too open, too eager to be understood. They confuse honesty with intimacy. They confuse transparency with trust. And then wonder why no one chases them anymore. But here's the truth. Familiarity kills desire. The more you reveal, the less others imagine. And what they can't imagine, they stop pursuing. We say we want realness, but what we crave is mystery, the unknown, the veil, the possibility. We don't desire reality. We desire projection. So if you want to become desirable, stop explaining. Stop oversharing. Stop being always available. Instead, become elusive. Become undefined. Be warm, but not predictable. Be close, but not constant. Let people feel your presence by tasting your absence. Think of it like this. A child obsesses over a toy until it becomes theirs. Then, it's discarded. Why? Because ownership kills mystery. Desire doesn't survive ownership. It survives distance, projection, imagination. So what do? Step 1. Withdraw strategically. Not cold, just absent enough. Speak with clarity, but hold your full truth. Let them wonder what you didn't say. Let them chase the question, not the answer. Disappear for a day or a week. No explanation, no guilt. Let your silence speak louder than your presence. Step 2. Create rivalries of desire. We want what others want. We chase what others are chasing. That man who was invisible yesterday becomes attractive the moment someone else desires him. That woman who was overlooked becomes magnetic the moment attention shifts toward her. This isn't vanity. It's social proof. Use it. Let others see that you are desired. Let your value echo through the perception of others. Not by bragging, but by never needing to. In business, in love, in power games, let them feel there is competition, even if it's unspoken. Step 3. Induce fascination. Attach yourself to something slightly dangerous, slightly forbidden, slightly unknown. People are bored. They don't want safe. They want risk controlled. Elegant, intentional risk. Give them that. Hint at things you don't fully explain. Let your voice carry a secret. Let your presence suggest something they shouldn't be close to, but can't resist. It's not about lying. It's about seduction. And seduction is about suggestion, not exposure. Remember, people act on imagination, not information. Feed the imagination. Dangle ideas just out of reach. Tease insights. Hint at a hidden world only few are allowed into. Because once they feel they fully own you, they will discard you. Not out of cruelty, but out of instinct. We don't chase what we already hold. We chase what we fear losing, what we're unsure we deserve, what might vanish if we stop trying. Now turn the lens inward. What do you truly desire? Have you chosen it consciously? Or are you chasing what others told you to want? That house, that lifestyle, that person. Pause. Trace the origin of your craving. Because most people don't know what they want. They just chase what's popular, what's praised, what's envied. But you must go deeper. You must know what your soul burns for, what your mind strategizes toward, what your instincts protect. That's your flame. And when you know your flame, you stop chasing. You become the fire. That is the fifth law. Elevate your perspective. Most people live stuck in the present, reacting, overthinking, drowning in now. They fear the past. They chase the moment. They forget the future. And then they wonder why life feels chaotic, why progress slips through their fingers, why every step forward feels like sinking sand. But here's the truth. It's not the world that's blind. It's their perspective. They're not standing on a mountain. They're crawling in the valley, trapped in urgency, addicted to dopamine, obsessed with the immediate, because down in the valley, all you see is fog. But climb higher, and everything changes. You begin to see the road behind, the dangers ahead, the detours you didn't notice before. Perspective is elevation, and elevation is power. Now, look around. People are living minute to minute, reaction to reaction. They scroll, they refresh, they chase updates like addicts. This is not awareness. This is ticket tape fever, an endless stream of noise pretending to be knowledge. But it's not clarity. It's confusion. This is why they fall for scams, why they ruin good relationships, why they abandon progress for pleasure. Because their minds are trained on the immediate, not the strategic. They ask, what feels good now, never? What will cost me 5 years later? If you want to rise above this, start here. Step 1. Train strategic distance. Before you act, pause. Ask, what does this lead to? What pattern does this reinforce? Who benefits from this choice? And who pays for it later? Every action has a tail. Every choice. A chain. That one argument you had to win may have lost you trust forever. That one pleasure you couldn't delay may have cost you years of regret. The short-sighted see the flame. The long-sighted see the fire that follows. Step 2. Avoid tactical hell. This is when you obsess over every move, every reply, every look, and forget the war. Tactical thinkers win arguments. Strategic thinkers win empires. So ask, is this moment worth the cost of my future? Am I fighting to be right or to rise? When you stop being reactive, you start being sovereign. Step 3. Break free from trivia. You don't need every article, every headline, every notification. You need focus. You need filters. You need to reclaim your mind from the flood. Because information overload is not intelligence. It's paralysis. So ask, does this serve my mission? Or does it seduce me away from it? Step 4. Audit your environment. Short-sighted people are contagious. They fear risk. They mock vision. They reward comfort. Keep them close, and you'll shrink. Surround yourself with climbers, with thinkers, with those who don't just ask, what now? But, what then? Now, remember the signs of short-sightedness. Unintended consequences. They never think beyond the moment. Tactical hell. They fight for ego, not outcome. Ticket tape fever. They chase every headline, but miss their own story. Drowning in trivia. They know everything, except what matters. But you must be different. Climb. Rise above the fog, above the noise, above the swarm of shallow urgency. Because from the top, you don't just see further, you see clearer. And once you see clearly, you cannot be controlled. That is the sixth law. Soften people's resistance by confirming their self-opinion. Everyone thinks they're good. Everyone believes they're smart. Everyone wants to feel in control of their life. This belief, no matter how fragile, no matter how false, is sacred to the ego. So when you confront someone's illusion, even gently, you trigger their armor. And the moment you do that, the game is over. They stop listening. They start defending. Not truth, but identity. You think you're persuading, but you're only feeding resistance. Here's the brutal truth. People don't want to hear the truth. They want to feel seen. They want to feel right. They want to feel in control. If you threaten those feelings, you lose them. No matter how logical your words are, no matter how righteous your facts sound, because the ego doesn't surrender to facts. It responds to preservation. So what's the strategy? Don't attack. Don't correct. Don't confront. Instead, disarm. Affirm. Redirect. Not to flatter, but to influence without resistance. Step 1. Become a deep listener. Not the fake type, the nod and wait to speak type. No. The quiet listener. The observer. The mirror. Let them talk. Let them explain. Let them believe they are unveiling something rare. Because when people feel heard, they lower their defenses. And when the guard drops, that's when change can begin. Step 2. Infect them with calm. Emotions are contagious. Walk in with pressure, and they tense. Walk in with stillness, and they soften. Don't force eye contact. Don't crowd their space. Don't correct their tone. Radiate warmth. Create shared space. Let your presence say, "You are safe here." Because until they feel safe, they won't move. They'll dig in. Step 3. Confirm their self-opinion before you pivot it. If they believe they're independent, frame your idea as their choice. If they believe they're intelligent, let your words validate their insight. If they believe they're moral, connect your request to their values. This isn't manipulation. It's emotional judo. You use their weight to guide their direction. Never trigger shame. Never call out ignorance. Never humiliate. No one says thank you for being exposed. They just remember how you made them feel and they retreat. So if you see their sore spot, don't stab it. Touch it gently, and they'll start trusting you. Not because of what you said, but because of how you made them feel about themselves. Step 4. Use their own words. People resist logic, but they follow language. They recognize. So mirror their phrasing. Repeat their metaphors. Turn their vocabulary into a bridge. You're not forcing a belief. You're leading a thought already halfway built inside them. That's the art. You don't push them into agreement. You let them walk there, thinking it was their idea all along. Even rebellion can be redirected. Tell a rebel what to do and they'll defy you. Tell them they probably can't do it, and they'll fight just to prove you wrong. Reverse psychology. Used sparingly, but used well, it's devastatingly effective. Because here's the deeper truth. Most people aren't listening. They're just waiting to feel seen. Waiting for someone who won't make them feel small, who won't challenge their ego head on, but who can still move them, silently. You want power. Then stop forcing your view. Start working with their mirror. Be the listener, the mood setter, the confirmer, and when the armor falls, walk your idea through the open door. Not with force, but with elegance, because this isn't about tricking people. It's about understanding what makes them lock up and what makes them open. That is the seventh law. Change your circumstances by changing your attitude. Sometimes, the enemy isn't out there. It's not your boss, not your ex, not society. It's the voice inside you whispering doubt just before every decision. And it doesn't scream. It sabotages quietly, like a crack in the foundation, invisible until everything collapses. Your attitude is not just how you feel. It's your posture toward life, toward pain, toward yourself. And most people never question it. They blame. They complain. They rehearse their limitations. So often, they become truth. But here's the brutal insight: what you call reality might just be your own mental prison. Because your attitude shapes your perception. Your perception shapes your choices. And your choices shape your life. Look deeper. There are two types of attitude in this world. One, the narrow mind. Fearful, reactive, avoid discomfort, craves control, blames the world for its walls. It mistakes survival for strategy. It clings to victimhood because taking responsibility feels like exposure. Two, the expansive mind, curious, observant, uses pain as feedback, turns chaos into evolution, fails forward, because identity isn't tied to outcome. Now ask yourself, which one are you becoming? Because most people, without knowing, fall into toxic patterns. Attitudes that quietly destroy everything they touch. Let's name them. The hostile attitude. Everything's a fight. Everyone's a threat. Cynicism becomes armor. They call it strength, but it's fear. Wearing teeth. The anxious attitude micromanages every detail. Obsessed with control. Terrified of collapse. Mistakes perfection for safety. But perfection is a prison with invisible walls. The avoidant attitude smiles, nods, but never commits. Fears responsibility, fears exposure, says, "I'm just not ready." Means, "I don't trust myself." The depressive attitude expects loss. Anticipates betrayal, destroys good things before they can be taken. Because deep down, they believe they don't deserve joy. The resentful attitude sees success as injustice, holds grudges like trophies, smiles, but waits for you to fail. They don't want healing. They want revenge, without saying it out loud. If you see these in others, be cautious. If you see them in yourself, be honest. Because this is not about blame. It's about awakening. You can't change what you deny, but you can rebuild what you're brave enough to confront. So what's the antidote? Adopt the expansive attitude. It begins with curiosity. Ask, what am I not seeing? How am I feeding this pattern? What would this situation look like if I stopped taking it personally? Refuse to play the victim, even when life is unfair, even when you're right, because victimhood feels righteous, but it steals your agency. Instead, channel your energy into action, into mastery, into rising silently, relentlessly. Change your posture, not to please the world, but to realign with power. Let setbacks shape you, not shatter you. Let rejection refine you, not define you. And remember, your life is not determined by what happens, but by how you respond. That response is attitude. And attitude is everything. That is the 8th law. Confront your dark side. Most people are not who they seem, not even to themselves. They smile. They speak gently. They act kind. But beneath the surface, something else lives. Something darker. Something they've tried to bury, but never could. Carl Jung called it the shadow, the denied self, the part of you pretend isn't there. It's not evil. It's not a monster. It's human. It's real. And it's powerful. It holds your envy, your rage, your lust for power, your need for recognition, your hunger to dominate, your desire to destroy. And the more you repress it, the more it leaks out in sabotage, in addiction, in sudden explosions you swear were out of character. But they weren't. They were just unacknowledged. Because what you deny eventually controls you. Ask yourself, when was the last time you said something you regretted? Sabotaged something good? Pushed someone away for getting too close? That wasn't a mistake. It was your shadow, breaking through the mask. The signs are everywhere. The moralist who breaks their own code. The preacher who condemns desire, but lives in secret indulgence. The calm one who explodes out of nowhere. The overthinker who avoids vulnerability by hiding in logic. The charmer who smiles in public and gossips in private. These aren't contradictions. They're repressions. And repression isn't resolution. It's a ticking clock. So what do? We stop running. We stop hiding. We look into the mirror, not the polished one. The cracked one. The one that shows you what you don't want to see. Step 1. See the shadow. What triggers you? What insults pierce deeper than they should? What traits in others spark irrational dislike? That's not them. That's a part of you that you've exiled. Envy is a mirror. Rage is a memory. Projection is confession. Step 2. Embrace the shadow. You are not just light. You are not just virtue. You are complexity. And that's not shameful. That's human. The goal isn't purity. It's wholeness. Darkness isn't the enemy. Denial is. Step 3. Explore the shadow. Don't act on it blindly. But don't suppress it either. Write about it. Speak it out loud. Turn it into art, into work, into fire. Because the shadow, when integrated, becomes edge, presence, power. Step 4. Use the shadow, not to harm, but to protect, to defend your boundaries, to speak when silence becomes weakness, to say no with spine, not guilt. Because sometimes kindness invites abuse, and softness gets trampled. In those moments, you don't need more peace. You need more depth, more edge, more truth. This isn't about becoming a better person. It's about becoming a whole person, no longer fragmented, no longer ashamed, fully conscious, fully complex, fully dangerous, in the best way. Because when you integrate your darkness, you don't become evil. You become unshakable. That is the 9th law. You've made it here. That already sets you apart. Because most people won't go this far. They click away. They scroll. They avoid the mirror. But you stayed. And now, you see, you've seen the machinery, the games, the shadow, not just in others, but in yourself. And that's the terrifying part. This isn't a lecture. It's a blueprint for those who dare to build a different life. Now you know, power doesn't always shout. It doesn't demand. It whispers. It guides. It sees what others ignore. The question is no longer, am I being manipulated? Because you are. We all are. The real question is, will you remain unconscious? Or will you take the controls? Because mind control exists, but the most dangerous kind is the one you use on yourself. These laws are not decorations. They are weapons. They are tools. And they are warnings. So choose one. Apply it. Not tomorrow. Now. And when the world tries to pull you back into emotion, into blindness, into pleasing, you'll remember this. You don't need permission to take back your mind. Only precision and strategy. Use them well.